गाइस होप यू ऑल आर डूइंग वेल। आप सभी ने क्रिस्टोफर नोलन की मूवी द ओडिसी के बारे में ज़रूर सुना होगा एंड आप में से कईयों ने ये मूवी देखी भी होगी। बट नोलन्स ओडिसी लीव्स अस विथ मोर क्वेश्चंस देन आंसर्स। इट लीव्स अस विथ सम ओवरवेलमिंग क्वेश्चंस लाइक हु वाज ओडिसियस, व्हाट वाज द ट्रोजन वॉर, व्हाट caused it, and why it took the Greeks 10 years to win Troy. In order to answer such questions, I welcome you to my YouTube channel, Shan's Desk. Here, I will cover topics from history, politics, and literature. And I'll try to answer such interesting questions. The thing here is that my answers won't be final, but they'll be foundational in nature on which you can create your own understanding of these topics. So, allow me to take you from Nolan's Odyssey to the Odyssey and the Iliad of Homer. Now, you'll ask, who was Homer? So, Homer was a blind bard. Homer is said to be a legendary poet from 8th century BCE. Okay, very old. And he is credited with two most foundational works of literature, which are Iliad and Odyssey. Okay, and Christopher Nolan's Odyssey is actually an adaptation of Homer's Odyssey. In order to know the Odyssey and the Iliad, you must know what was the Trojan War and what led to the Trojan War. Okay, so the Trojan War is a prerequisite if you want to know about the Iliad and the Odyssey. These two works of Homer fall within the category of epics. What are epics? Epics are poetic narrative which has an epic hero to the center of narrative, and it covers events which are simply important to the history of mankind. Either it will be of national importance, of civilizational importance, or those events which are simply important to the history of mankind. So in Iliad, Homer covers events from the 10th year of Trojan War. Okay, and in Odyssey is more about homecoming of King Odysseus of Ithaca, who was a Greek king and went to Troy in order to fight the Trojans. ठीक है, अब आपको ग्रीक आइडेंटिटी के बारे में एक आइडिया होगा, आपको ग्रीक स्टेट्स के बारे में एक आइडिया होगा, बट इन ऑर्डर टू क्लैरिफाई द ट्रोजन आइडेंटिटी एंड ट्रॉय, I have the map. So, Troy was located in the Asian Minor, just above Turkey. This was the location of Troy, and this was Greece. Troy and Greece were separated by the Aegean Sea, and these two people, the Greeks, sailed from their homeland to siege the city of Troy. Who were the Trojans? The inhabitants and the rulers of Kingdom of Troy were called Trojans. Okay. Till here, I guess I made myself clear. Now, we'll discuss what caused the Trojan War. I will explain you the marriage of Helen and how it led to the Trojan War. ये चीज़ समझना ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है कि ट्रोजन वॉर वॉज अ कॉन्सिक्वेंस, अ रिज़ल्ट ऑफ अ सीरीज़ ऑफ इवेंट. ओके, कोई एक चीज़ नहीं थी जिसके वजह से ट्रोजन युद्ध लड़ा गया. रीज़न रहता है मैरिज ऑफ हेलेन एंड ओथ ऑफ टिंडेरियस. सो आई विल एक्सप्लेन यू दैट. बिफोर आई गो टू मैरिज ऑफ हेलेन, ग्रीक्स ऑल्सो प्रैक्टिस पोलिथिज्म इन विच देयर आर मोर देन वन गॉड्स. इनके पोलिथिज्म में ये डिफरेंस है कि the gods, the Greek gods, they have some negative human tendency. Okay, although they are immensely powerful, they are immortal, but their immortality doesn't save them from being flawed. So their nature is flawed. You'll ask why I said this. Just because they show some human tendency as lust, pride, arrogance, favoritism, and they often get intimate with mortal women and mortal queens. They choose sides in war. Later in Trojan War, you will see that gods are choosing sides and they are actually fighting the mortals. So this is how they are different. Now I'll teach you the marriage of Helen and oath of Tyndareus. It all starts with the Greek kingdom of Sparta. Sparta was then ruled by King Tyndareus and his queen Leda. This is Queen Leda. Okay, so Leda was attractive, and due to this, one of the gods tried to court her. This god was no one other than Zeus. So Zeus tries to court Queen Leda, and he transforms him into a swan, and then gets intimate with Queen Leda. And after that intimacy, Leda lays two eggs, the first egg and the second egg. The first egg is said to have childrens from King Tyndareus. Okay, it was Prince Castor and Princess Clytemnestra. The second egg had offsprings from Zeus himself. They were Prince Pollux and Princess Helen. So Castor, Clytemnestra, Pollux and Helen were royalty of Sparta. Helen was like a demigod. She was a demigod, and that made her the most beautiful woman of earth at that particular time. अब हेलेन के बर्थ को लेकर के काफ़ी सारे दूसरे मिथ्स भी हैं, बट एज आई हैव मैंशनड, जो मिथ सबसे ज़्यादा एक्सेप्टेड है एंड जो आर्ग्यूमेंट्स सबसे ज़्यादा एक्सेप्टेड हैं, आई विल टीच यू दैट. इफ़ यू वांट discussion on other myths, we can do it in another video. So Helen was the most beautiful woman of that particular time, and इससे एक चीज़ तय होती है कि she will have suitors from all over the Greece. All the Greek kings came to suit Helen. जैसे हमारे यहाँ स्वयंवर का ट्रेडिशन है, तो it was like a Greek स्वयंवर in which all the Greek kings, total 31 in number, they came to suit Helen. They came to win Helen's hand in marriage. Okay, कौन कौन आया था? So it was King Odysseus of Ithaca, Agamemnon of Mycenae, Menelaus, younger brother of Agamemnon, Nestor of Pylos, and Diomedes of Argos. तो ये आए थे. इनके अलावा और भी थे. These were popular kings. दिक्कत ये थी कि Tyndareus was concerned. Tyndareus thought, अगर हेलेन शादी करेगी तो ये तो स्वाभाविक सी बात है कि हेलेन किसी एक से ही शादी करेगी. ओके, Tyndareus इस बात से कंसर्न थे कि आफ्टर हेलेन चूजेज अ हस्बैंड, द अदर किंग्स वुड फाइट दैट पर्टिकुलर पर्सन in order to win Helen. So Tyndareus thought that this would lead to a lot of bloodshed and war among the Greeks. That is the reason why King Tyndareus was concerned. So Odysseus came to him, and our king Odysseus of Ithaca, he told Tyndareus that, Tyndareus, do one thing. At first, make all the Greek kings to take an oath. What oath? Or each one of them will take an oath to protect the husband of Helen. This was Helen of Sparta. Okay, तो सारे ये शपथ लेंगे कि we will protect the whoever Helen chooses as husband, we will protect him. इससे क्या हुआ कि जो चांस था वॉयलेंस का, वो खुद ब खुद एलिमिनेट हो जाता है, और Helen was free to choose. Then Helen chooses Menelaus of Sparta. This was Menelaus. I'm very sorry I said Sparta. Why I said it, I'll tell you later in the video. Menelaus of Mycenae. अब एक क्वेश्चन आप सबके दिमाग में आएगा कि इतने सारे ग्रीक किंग्स आए थे, उनमें से Menelaus क्यों? I'll answer that question. Menelaus was the younger prince of Mycenae. Mycenae was the most powerful Greek kingdom of that time. It had the strongest army, it had most treasures and wealth, and no other Greek kingdom could match the power that Mycenae held at that time. So I mentioned that Menelaus was younger brother of Agamemnon. If Agamemnon was the king of Mycenae, then why did Helen choose Menelaus? इसका आंसर बहुत सीधा सा है, because Agamemnon was married to Clytemnestra, who was the half sister of Helen. Agamemnon was already married, and he was the ruler of Mycenae, the most powerful Greek kingdom. So it is believed that Helen thought Sparta must have Mycenae as an ally, और ये तभी होगा जब she'll marry Menelaus, who was the younger brother of Agamemnon. In that case, Mycenae would always be there to protect Sparta. After the marriage, Menelaus inherits the throne of Sparta. अब आप बोलोगे यार ये कैसे हो गया? There was Castor, there was Pollux. How did it happen? Castor and Pollux के बारे में ये tale है कि they were very brave, they were very adventurous, and due to this they died early. Cause of death नहीं पता. Both of the sons of Tyndareus and this one from Zeus, both the sons of Leda, they died early. अब जो inheritance का law है of the Greeks, it is very much different from the Indian law of inheritance. Okay, and what we experienced with the Mughals, कि जो elder son होगा he'll inherit, उसके बाद दूसरा बेटा he'll inherit. यहाँ पे ऐसा नहीं था. According to the Greeks, the son-in-law could also inherit the throne. So after marrying Helen, Menelaus becomes the king of Sparta. Menelaus becomes the king of Sparta. Okay. अब आपको ध्यान में क्या रखना है कि Helen was married to Menelaus. All the Greeks took oath of Tyndareus, which was to protect husband of Helen, and Helen was the most beautiful woman of that time. Now we'll go to the second stage, which is Trojan royal family. अब ये वही Trojans हैं जिनसे ग्रीक्स की लड़ाई होती है. सो इनकी फैमिली ट्री को समझना बेहद ज़रूरी है. द मोनार्क वॉज द हेड ऑफ द फैमिली. द मोनार्क वॉज किंग प्रायम. किंग प्रायम and his queen Hecuba, they both had 50 sons, 50 daughters. Most popular and important for the Trojan War and this epic are Hector, Paris, Deiphobus, and Cassandra. So I'll explain their role one by one. Hector was the eldest son of King Priam and Hecuba, and he was the most valiant warrior Troy had. He was the defender of Troy, and he is a symbol of honor, duty, courage, and he was only second to Greek warrior Achilles. He was such a brave warrior, he was such a skilled warrior, and Homer often calls him Hector, the breaker of horses. Okay, that is what Homer calls him in his epic. Now we have Paris. Paris was son of Priam and Hecuba, and Paris is from where things start getting interesting. जब पेरिस का बर्थ होता है तो ये कहा गया था, एक प्रोफेसी हुई थी कि this son of yours will bring destruction to Troy. ये सुनने के बाद Queen Hecuba was very much distressed, and as she was a queen, she had some obligations towards the citizens of Troy. So Queen Hecuba said that abandon this child and execute him. But the men, they didn't do it because it takes a lot to kill an infant. So they left him at the will of gods. वो उसे माउंट ईडा में छोड़ के आ गए. So he was raised by shepherds. Then Paris was raised by shepherds. ये चीज़ आप ध्यान में रखना. Paris को लेके क्या प्रोफेसी की गई थी, and he was abandoned at birth, and then he was raised by shepherds at Mount Ida. And then we have Cassandra. She was, I guess, the most famous Trojan princess. Okay, there were other 49 sisters of Cassandra, but she was the most famous. Why? She was attractive and she won attention of the sun god Apollo. So in order to impress her, what Apollo did, अपोलो गेव हर अ बून ऑफ प्रोफेसीज। अपोलो ने उन्हें एक वरदान दिया, जिस वरदान के अकॉर्डिंग कैसेंड्रा विल मेक 100% एक्यूरेट प्रोफेसीज। कैसेंड्रा जो भविष्यवाणी करेगी वो सच ही होगा। बट वॉट कैसेंड्रा डिड आफ्टर गेटिंग दैट वरदान सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग, शी रिजेक्टेड अपोलो। ओके, उन्होंने कहा आई कांट गेट इंटीमेट विथ यू, आई एम सॉरी। तो अपोलो ने जो किया इसके बाद, दैट इज़ वेयर थिंग्स गेट इंटरेस्टिंग। अपोलो सेज दैट ओके, अब मैंने तुम्हें वरदान तो दे दिया है, तो एक और चीज़ लो तुम, एक और गिफ्ट। दैट वॉज दैट नो वन विल बिलीव टू योर प्रोफेसीज। सो दिस इज़ हाउ very cleverly Apollo turned his boon to a bane. He said that no matter how accurate prophecies you make, no one will believe in your prophecies and आपके prophecies करने से कोई फ़ायदा नहीं होगा. So you must remember this, that Cassandra was that particular princess who made prophecies. Paris was the son who was destined to bring destruction to Troy, and Hector was the most valiant warrior of Troy, who was second to only Achilles. Who's Achilles? I'll mention later in the video. There were alliances of Troy. There were other sons of King Priam, but he was the warrior whom the Greeks feared most. Now, let us come to another event. It was the marriage of King Peleus and goddess Tethys. She was goddess of river and he was a mortal. अब आप curious हो गए and you'll ask that why is this marriage taking place? He's a king, he's a mortal, she's a goddess. तो इसके पीछे again we have Zeus. Okay, एक prophecy होती है ओलंपस में. Olympus is where the Greek gods reside. Okay, home to the Greek gods. एक prophecy की जाती है कि if goddess Tethys ever married any other god, the child she would bear will overpower Zeus. तो Zeus was the king of gods. अब उन्हें लगा कि अगर Tethys का offspring आता है and he'll overpower me, then I'll lose my throne. So what Zeus does, he forces Tethys to marry a mortal, just in order to undo the prophecy. This is why this marriage took place. ये marriage कहाँ पे हो रही थी? This marriage was taking place in Mount Pelion. Okay. अब marriage है तो सारे gods attend करेंगे. तो there was a feast of gods. उसमें सारे gods को invitation दिया गया था except one. Who was that unlucky one? She was Eris. Who is Eris? Eris is the goddess of demise, distortion, and according to the Greek tradition, all the negativity that exists in this world, it exists because of Eris. तो अब शगुन की देवी को तो कोई बुलाएगा नहीं अपने मैरिज में, but Eris said that I will attend it anyways. Okay, so she came to the marriage and she decided to make a prank. What Eris did, she brought a golden apple with her in which there were words inscribed. What were those words? To the most fairest. F-A-I-R, fair. To the most fairest. Okay. Or in some traditions it says the words were to the most beautiful. Or Eris came there, she threw that apple, and then that particular apple landed in front of three goddesses. 1, 2, 3. First one was Aphrodite. Okay, this one is Aphrodite. This one was Athena, and third one was Hera. Aphrodite was the goddess of love, passion, and romances. Athena was the goddess of courage, craft, and strategy. Hera was wife of Zeus. She was queen of all gods. These three goddesses claimed that this apple belongs to me. इसके बाद क्या होता है, ये तीनों जाती हैं ज़्यूस के पास कि ज़्यूस, किंग ऑफ गॉड्स, प्लीज़ टेल मी हु डिज़र्व्स दिस एप्पल. अब ज़्यूस वाज वेरी स्मार्ट विद दिस. ज़्यूस सेड दैट मुझे आपके इस बहस में नहीं पड़ना है. आई डोंट वांट टू ऑफेंड एनी वन ऑफ यू, एंड दैट इज़ वाई what he decides, he says that there is a shepherd who lives in Mount Ida, and वो shepherd आपको बताएगा it is that shepherd's judgment, not mine, to tell you who is the fairest. अब यहाँ पे चीज़ें और कॉम्प्लेक्स हो गई, क्योंकि that shepherd was no one other than this man Paris, who was the Trojan prince. Okay, Mount Ida में इसी को छोड़ के गए थे. He was abandoned at Mount Ida. तो ये तीनों जाएंगी पेरिस के पास in order to know who is most fairest. Okay, who is the most beautiful. The other event is called Judgment of Paris. अब चीज़ इस कदर एस्केलेट होती है कि देखो तीनों गॉडेस हैं, ईच वन ऑफ देम इज़ डिवाइन, ब्यूटिफुल. तो ईच वन ऑफ देम वुड ब्राइब पेरिस. दे विल offer Paris something in return, that if Paris chooses one of them, then they'll try to make their highest bargain for that apple. Okay, होता भी कुछ ऐसे ही है. Hera bargains the kingdom of Europe. Hera says that Paris, if you choose me as the most fairest, I'll make you the king of Europe. Okay. Very decent offer. It was a very decent offer. And then Athena says that Paris, if you give this golden apple to me, I will ensure that you are the most valiant creature on this earth. You'll never lose a war, and I'll give you enormous honor and glory. I'll make you best of the warlords. Okay, you'll be the best warlord in all over the world. This was also a very decent offer, both of them. And then comes Aphrodite. She says that, Paris, if you give this golden apple to me and consider me as most beautiful, I will give you love of most beautiful woman of world. And who is this most beautiful woman? No one other than Helen of Sparta. Okay, so Aphrodite bargains the love of Helen. अब आप बताओ Paris क्या चूज करेगा? Paris gives that apple to Aphrodite. अब यार फिर से आप क्यूरियस होगे, फिर से आप पूछोगे कि इतने डिसेंट ऑफर मिले उसके बाद why Paris gave that apple to Aphrodite? Reason is very much simple. Paris was a man driven by three things. First, love. Second, desire. Third, his youth and immaturity. That is what I believe. Then होता यह है कि एफ्रोडाइटी को तो एप्पल दे दिया जाता है पेरिस द्वारा, बट दीज टू गॉडेसेस हेरा एंड अथीना, दे आर ऑफेंडेड. ओके, दे आर ऑफेंडेड विथ पेरिस, एंड इसका ड्रॉबैक जो है वो ट्रोजन्स को देखना पड़ता है इन द ट्रोजन वॉर, वेयर दीज टू गॉडेसेस हेरा एंड अथीना, दे join the sides of Greeks. Okay, they help the Greeks to great extents and somehow contribute to the downfall of Troy. यहाँ तक clear है I guess. अब next comes elopement of Helen and the Greek coalition. Okay, so as Aphrodite promised that I'll give you the love of most beautiful woman of this world. So it was Helen. Helen was already someone's wife of Menelaus, who was the king of Sparta. And one thing is that the Trojans and the Greeks, they didn't have a very decent history. They both were rivals. They both were superpowers controlling the Aegean, and that made them rivals. Okay, so they didn't have a very cordial, friendly relation. इसके बाद क्या होता है कि एफ्रोडाइटी ने तो प्रॉमिस किया था कि आई गिव यू द लव ऑफ मोस्ट ब्यूटीफुल वुमेन ऑफ दिस वर्ल्ड. तो शी, इट इज़ बिलीव्ड दैट शी कास्ट्स अ स्पेल ऑन हेलन. इनके ऊपर एक स्पेल कास्ट करती है एफ्रोडाइटी, जादू करती है इन हिंदी. ओके, सो विच मेड हर फॉल इन लव विथ पेरिस. ये एक बिलीव है, ठीक है, दिस इज़ वन बिलीव. The counterpart believes that Paris actually abducted Helen. She was not charmed by the spell. She was abducted by Paris. That's why I mentioned two words, abduction और इलोपमेंट, तो दोनों बिलीव्स हैं. फॉर लर्निंग विल बिलीव दैट इट वॉज अ स्पेल. स्पेल कास्ट किया जाता है. पैरिस सेल्स टू स्पार्टा. ही इलोप्स हेलन एंड देन हेलन सेल्स टू ट्रॉय विथ पैरिस. इससे पहले एक चीज़ हुई थी. पैरिस बिफोर दिस, ओके, बिफोर going to Sparta, Paris went back to his family. He went back to King Priam and they recognized him. King Priam recognized Paris. That yes, he is my son. He was born and certain prophecies were made. So then they thought that ये हमने इसे मरने के लिए छोड़ दिया था and after that he came back to us. So it is the will of gods. तो दे एक्सेप्टेड पैरिस एज अ ट्रोजन प्रिंस. ये मैंने आपको क्यों बताया? क्योंकि जब हेलेन वॉज इलोप्ड, ओके, जब हेलेन को ये लेके भाग रहा था, तो ऐसा तो नहीं है कि स्पार्टन वॉरियर्स शांति से बैठेंगे, है ना. दे ट्राइड देयर बेस्ट टू प्रिवेंट द स्केप ऑफ देयर क्वीन. दे फॉट, और पैरिस वहाँ अकेले नहीं गया था. ही वेंट देयर विथ सम ट्रोजन वॉरियर्स. सो द ट्रोजन वॉरियर्स प्रिवेंटेड द स्पार्टन्स फ्रॉम hindering the escape of both, and after that Helen and Paris successfully went to Troy. अब जब ये दोनों ट्रॉय जाते हैं तो वहाँ पे सीन काफ़ी ड्रामेटिक क्रिएट हो जाता है. हेक्टर, who was the most valiant and eldest son of King Priam and Hecuba, he was enraged that you will bring destruction to Troy. You know nothing about diplomacy. What have you done? You have abducted someone's wife, and the Greeks are not going to respond with peace or diplomacy to this act. They'll definitely attack Troy. So Hector was enraged with this, and then comes the role of Cassandra. याद करिए, Apollo gave her a वरदान sort of thing, according to which she can make 100% accurate prophecies. She said that this woman हेलेन विल बर्न ट्रॉय टू द ग्राउंड, एंड हेलेन के वजह से ट्रॉय का डाउनफॉल होगा एंड ग्रीक्स विल डिस्ट्रॉय द सिटी ऑफ ट्रॉय. शी प्रिडिक्टेड द वॉर बिफोर इट हैपेंड. लेकिन अपोलो का कर्स भी था कि नो वन विल बिलीव इन योर प्रोफेसीज. सो कैसेंड्रा वॉज थ्रोन इनसाइड jail. This was because of curse of sun god Apollo. This happens, and after this, Helen is with Paris. Menelaus was not there when Paris made his visit to Sparta. Menelaus went to his neighboring kingdom in order to pay a friendly visit. जब Menelaus लौटता है अपने टूर से, then he knows that the queen is abducted. He was enraged, and then Menelaus of Sparta goes to his brother Agamemnon, okay, who was the most powerful ruler of Greece, and he was actually the most wealthy, he had the largest army. And he said, Menelaus said to Agamemnon that Trojans did dishonor to me, and my humiliation is your humiliation. Your humiliation is the humiliation of entire Greece, because you are the person who represents Greece. Okay. Menelaus goes to Agamemnon and he says that I want to attack the Trojans, and then I'll get my wife back. People would say that Agamemnon was approached by Menelaus to attack, but abduction of Helen acted as the absolute pretext that Agamemnon wanted. Agamemnon wanted a reason to attack the Trojans because he was a man who could have done anything for pride. He wanted to be known as the man who brought end to the Trojan power, who burnt Troy to the ground. Agamemnon was an ambitious man. You know, abduction of Helen can sometimes be a pretext when it comes to politics. So now Menelaus invokes oath of Tyndareus. Menelaus क्या करता है? Oath of Tyndareus को invoke करता है. Oath क्या था? Oath ये था कि all the Greeks who attended the marriage of Helen are meant to protect husband of Helen. And if the husband of Helen is going to fight the Trojans, then it is the duty of all other kings to join him in battle. अब आपको अभी तक अंदाज़ा लग चुका होगा कि ग्रीक गॉड्स कैसे हैं। अगर कोई भी किंग अपना ओथ ब्रेक करता तो इट वुड सिंपली मीन दैट दे आर डिसऑनरिंग द गॉड्स। एवरीवन फियर्ड दैट। Oath of Tyndareus led to the creation of Greek alliance. As Agamemnon was most powerful, the Greek alliance was led by Agamemnon of Mycenae. Menelaus of Sparta was the person whose wife was abducted, and then came the members of this alliance. Odysseus of Ithaca. So Odysseus was never willing to join the Greeks in this war. He simply never wanted to leave Ithaca, that was his kingdom. Odysseus was the most cunning of the Greeks. What he did, he tried to prove himself mentally unsound. उसने क्या किया कि 2 घोड़े लिए, उसमें हल बांधा, and then he was plowing that field with the help of horses. People thought that he is mentally unsound. लेकिन there was a soldier. What that particular soldier did, he brought Odysseus' son, who was an infant, and he placed his son before those 2 horses. अब Odysseus had to stop those 2 horses. अब जब Odysseus उन घोड़ों को रोक देता है, then it is proved that Odysseus was not mentally unsound and he is compelled to join that war. Then we have Nestor of Pylos. Who was Nestor? Nestor was like the old grandfather of entire army. He was the most aged of the Greek kings, and he was also tied to this oath of Tyndareus, so he was meant to join that war. He was the most experienced and very good at strategizing things. Now we have Achilles of Phthia. Who is Achilles? I said that I'll mention him further in my video. Achilles was the son of no one other than King Peleus and goddess Tethys. The son they had, his name was Achilles. He was destined for this war. When Achilles was born, there were 2 prophecies. Either he'll be a family man and die unknown, else he'll be the most recognized warrior of this world and he'll be most glorious among the Greeks. तो इनकी जो मदर थी, goddess Tethys, she was concerned, okay, that her son is going to be a mortal. So she brings her to a river, a divine river, and she held her from the heels. उन्होंने अखिलेश के पैर पकड़े और उसे उल्टा करके उस रिवर में डुबाया. And the entire portion of his body except his heels were dipped in that holy river. उससे हुआ क्या कि attacks cannot penetrate Achilles. That was the consequence of that touch of river. But his toes, his heels, they were as it is. So they were the weak points of Achilles. Now we have Ajax of Salamis. Ajax was in the Greek army second to Achilles when it came to being a warrior. Ajax was more like a warlord. Then we have Diomedes. It is actually Diomedes D. Okay, not T, it is D, Diomedes. This man was king of Argos and he has a reputation for wounding the gods. How? I'll tell you in a separate video. So this was the Greek alliance led by Agamemnon and all these kings. There were more kings except them. They were the prominent figures of Trojan War. That's why I threw light on them. And I'll cover Achilles in another video when I'll teach Iliad. Now, the walls of Troy had a reputation for being impenetrable. Walls of Troy were blessed by Apollo. Troy की दीवारों के बारे में ये कहा जाता था कि no one can breach it. It is protected by the sun god Apollo, so it is very difficult for enemies to breach those walls of Troy in a battle. So this is why the Trojan War took 10 years. The events of 10th year of war is composed in Iliad of Homer. And then when the war was finally over, when the Greeks won that war, the homecoming of one Greek king, king of Ithaca and the most cunning of Greeks, Odysseus, the homecoming of Odysseus is what we call Odyssey. It took Odysseus another 10 years to reach Ithaca. Why? I'll discuss in another video. For now, please do tell me आपको वीडियो कैसी लगी and how informative it was. Thank you guys. Thanks a lot.